people have the right to justice, and I have spent my time, since I became a lawyer, providing pro bono support to people on a whole range of issues. And people who know me, people who know the work that I do, know that the last thing that I would ever choose to do intentionally would be to violate any of the rules or the laws. What I have sought from the beginning of this process is a fair assessment of what happened. And I did trust another lawyer and a group of people that I agreed to volunteer and serve. And I think, and I have learned lessons, and I have apologized to people. I did not suggest in any way that there were, the people that signed these contests were taking one from the team, and if there's a recording of that conversation, I would love to hear it and go back over it. I didn't refuse to help Ms. Braun reopen the case. We had a very long conversation about what the case was. The facts will come out, I hope, in this hearing. I hope I will be allowed to actually, for the first time, really air the facts and have the conversation through witness testimony about what did happen, about what people understood in November and December of 2020, what they understood after that, what they learned in February and March, and what has happened since then. All I've ever asked is for an opportunity to have my voice be heard. And when the hearing is characterized as I refuse to answer questions, the record will show that I wanted to answer the questions. I was not allowed to answer the questions. Yes and no's are not answers to questions that require information. So this characterization of me is, I think, inappropriate. It is tragic. And I don't believe that it is me and me alone who has cost hundreds of hours and damage to the court. I think that the process itself has raised serious issues about the process, about what the rules really mean. What do the laws that govern the rules mean? Do the laws govern? Do the laws matter to the lawyers and judges who are in charge of our system? Do they actually remember that it is the laws of our state and our country that govern our conduct? That is first after the Constitution. So I believe that this whole process is the result of a system that should be reworked, not just this process, but our election process, how we contest elections, so that people actually can contest the elections in a way where they are not attacked merely for raising a question. When laws are violated, and people all over the state and the country saw the laws being violated, and they wanted something to be done. I also think that we do need to remember the facts and circumstances are not just random, that we were in a time in our country with COVID, with changing of laws that had been long-standing laws for decades that were changed by a consent decree that half the people in the state did not agree with, that there were reasons why people were upset. And then, after January 6th, when nobody could have imagined what happened on January 6th and what happened after January 6th, it is perfectly logical that people became concerned, but that doesn't change the fact of what happened when they signed an affidavit. And so all of the facts will come out, and I believe that if the facts are allowed to come out, that we will all be able to take a look and determine whether there was actual intent to commit a fraud. I don't necessarily agree that statute of limitations and time limits have passed for me to appeal these issues, and I believe that I waited appropriately to allow this moment to come, because I think that these issues need to be addressed. We need a public hearing of how this process works, and I do believe in terms of cooperation. Once I had submitted the information I had about that process and where we're at, I believe that this issue of cooperation is such an ambiguity, and there really wasn't anything left to say once the record had been created, because the issue was over and done with. So this kind of constant fishing and trying to create an issue out of an issue is unfair, not just to me, but to other lawyers who it's happened to in the past and who it will likely happen to again. And also little things, like when lawyers who are working on behalf of the lawyers board are using work emails that are not connected to the government. I don't believe as an attorney I should have my information on corporations' website owned, on their email system that's owned by them. So there are a lot of issues we need to address. And then finally, I'm going to say, it's certainly been public knowledge for years that the lawyers board has been under scrutiny by a lot of lawyers, and that the conduct of the lawyers board has been an issue, and it raises problems because lawyers, not just me, but lawyers across the state, question and have a distrust of the process. And when we have a process where people feel that they will be treated unfairly, then we should expect that people will be hesitant to cooperate, and they won't trust the results if they aren't fair and open. So again, I think that if the facts are allowed to come out, which I hope they will be, then I think then we will hopefully have a fair disposition of this case. But up to this moment, that hasn't happened. It hasn't happened, not for one moment. And so, I guess we're gonna see how it goes. I trust that this process will be fair and will follow the rules. So, thank you.
Thank you, Ms.